Hi, Tana Marshall here with your Feel Good Friday message, and today I want to talk to you about setting boundaries. And this is something I had to do so much of the time when I was taking care of my mom full time, because moving in with her after my dad died, I lost a lot of freedom, a lot of independence. I didn't have my own place anymore. I had no control over who was coming or going. A lot of people had keys to our houses and would just walk in whenever they wanted to. People I didn't really enjoy spending time with would just drop by and spend hours here. So it was very difficult. And then that shifted over the years as my mom's memory was declining and her health to a certain degree, just as far as being able to physically get around on her own. Then I had to be a little bit more protective of her and myself, because we had a lot of people from her life that didn't understand that even though they were having a conversation with her, she didn't really know what she was talking about. And she didn't always give accurate information. So we reached a point where I had to tell people, no one can visit unless I am here as well. Because I found out there were a few people that she'd made plans with and they came over when I wasn't here, which I don't even know how that happened because I was rarely not here. But it freaked me out. And I remember talking to these people and saying, okay, well, I didn't know that you were here. And they're like, well, all I did was sit on the couch. And I'm thinking, well, that's fine. But if someone came into your house without your knowledge when you weren't there and just sat on the couch, I'm sure you'd be a little uncomfortable as well. So, like, cut me some slack here. So, but I know a lot of these people were looking at me like, oh, you're terrible and you're mean and you're keeping us from your mom. It's like, I'm not keeping anybody from her. I'm just saying you can visit when I'm here. So that was a boundary that I had to set. Other people we had to step away from completely because they just weren't good for my mom or our situation here. And it was all in the best interests of my mom. And sometimes it helped me too, because I just didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. I just kind of had to deal with whatever was going on here with the people. And that includes doctors that my mom was going to, that most of them were okay, but I had to do battle with some of them some of the time about her prescription drugs, because I was trying to get her off of stuff, and I like doing things more naturally, and I was doing things that were improving her health, and they still wanted to keep her on these prescription drugs and talking to me like I'm a 5-year-old, like, well, we need it. I'm like, no, no, this is what's going to happen. So I had to set a lot of boundaries with that kind of thing, and you know what? It was exhausting. And sometimes it can be exhausting to set boundaries, but we all need them. We need them in our relationships. You need them with your children, so your children understand what's acceptable and what is not, as far as your household, their behavior, interacting with others. And you need to set boundaries personally and professionally as well. So now I'm in a whole other area of setting boundaries. And I'm also doing that at the same time where I'm trying to kind of open up and reconnect with a lot of people, because I can go out and do stuff and go places now, which I'm not used to. So, but then there are a lot of people that are like, oh, let's do here, and I want this from you, and da, da, da. So I'm like, because I'm still giving myself that time to decompress and grieve however it wants to come up for me for a few months. I'm giving myself a good long time, because in a way, I just got laid off from my job, my caregiving job that lasted full-time for over a decade, but I'd been living here with my mom for 15 years. So I haven't had my own home in 15 years. I haven't had this kind of freedom or independence or ability to have people over, to entertain, and just have my own home again. So that's one thing that's expansive and really wonderful. But the people that don't understand that I'm still kind of in this cocooning, healing stage, that they're like, wow, we want parts of you now, and it's like, oh, you're free, you're available. And I'm like, no. I am, but I'm not. I'm being selective about when I'm free and available, and to whom, and for what. So setting boundaries applies to every area of your life. And sometimes it can be difficult to navigate, but if you just always keep in your head that if something or someone does not feel comfortable, does not feel good to you, hopefully you have the choice and the option to do this. Be like, okay, we can have a relationship, but you need to stay there. Or you might need to just eliminate them completely from your life. Maybe they're not good for you. And believe me, I have been learning so much about this from Dr. Christiane Northrup's course that she did earlier this year about energy vampires and relationships with energy vampires, which I'm pretty sure all of us have had at least one. I've had so many, way too many. And the actual clinical terminology for that is narcissistic personality disorder. So that's a whole other thing that you kind of have to look out for people who just want to take and take and take and never give back, and they're manipulative and make you feel bad about yourself if you put the brakes on and set boundaries, and they're like, whatever, you know. So I'm not even going to go into all that, but that's a whole other area where you've got to set boundaries with people that are just not good for you in general. Then there are just the other people that just, you know, don't jive with you, and they don't add to your life, and they might bring you down a little bit. They might be negative. They might be a detriment to you personally, professionally, your vibe, your happiness, your frame of mind. So anytime something or someone just is bringing you down, think about whether or not you want to set a boundary. And if people are overstepping boundaries with you, that's when you really need to be firm and reinstate it. I had to set a lot of boundaries with people who actually were helping with my mom, and they had the best of intentions, but boundaries were overstepped quite a bit. And so I had to set some very firm boundaries, and people weren't happy about it, but it's what was necessary for mom's well-being and for my peace of mind. And that's really what boundaries are for your well-being and for your peace of mind. And it's going to benefit you in the long run, because then you get good at it, because I know it can be uncomfortable. Like, oh, I don't want to be mean to people, and oh, I can't do that to them or say that to them. Yes, you can. And you can be kind about it. It's not a mean thing. It's not like, screw you, you're not allowed here anymore. It's not, it's not about that. It's just about being firm and saying, okay, this is what I'm comfortable with, and this is what I'm not comfortable with. This is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm not willing to do anymore. So think about that for yourself and allow yourself to set those boundaries, because when you do, you keep more of your energy, and then that goes back into helping you recreate your life, or not but create your life. I am recreating my life. I'll do a whole nother video on that later. But then you have that energy available to you for what you need it for in your life. Again, personally or professionally. A lot of times it's personally, because you just need to feel good and you need some peace of mind, and that will definitely help. So I hope this helps you if you are feeling like you have been, I hate to say violated because that sounds so criminal, but if boundaries have been overstepped in your life, you have every right to say to people, no, that's not okay. This is what's okay. This is all I'm willing to give. This is as close as you can get. This is as far as it's going to go. And if those boundaries keep getting crossed, you might be like, bye. So, yeah, it's not fun. And it's a whole other world now that I'm dealing with. So on the one hand, it's a relief that I don't have to deal with all of these people. I mean, trust me, I miss my mom so much. And I can't talk about it too much or the waterworks will start again. So I don't want to get into that, but I miss her so much. I miss her, but I don't miss all of the crap I had to deal with because I was living in her house with her and dealing with all of her people. Because on the positive side, everybody loved my mom. They called her St. Bobby of Encino, and I understand why they loved her. Both my parents were there for everybody all the time. If anybody needed anything, they were there for them. And that's why a lot of these people felt entitled to play whatever role they wanted in my mom's life after my dad was gone, even after I had moved home, because they had been that close over the years, and they just weren't understanding that, okay, I'm back now, I am in charge of things, and I make the decisions about what is best for her and what's appropriate. And, you know, some people got all bent out of shape about that. But it was because they loved her so much. So I tried to keep that in mind, but man, it was hard because it was just so exhausting to deal with this all the time and not knowing who was going to drop by when or how long they were going to stay and what kind of energy they were going to bring into the house. So that was really difficult. So again, miss my mom. Hi, Boo Boo. Boo Boo just decided to join us. But I don't miss all of that because I had lived alone for 15 years and no one was in my apartment unless I invited them and I let them in. And to have people coming and going all the time at all different times and just having no control over that, and then having to feel like I had to sit there and entertain them and keep them company while they were here. It was really exhausting, yes, and now you're being very demanding. I need to set a boundary with you, Mr. Boo Boo. Let me finish my video, okay? I'm going to pet him with my foot and hopefully I'll keep him. Is that setting a boundary? I'm not sure, but it's keeping him quiet. So I won't have that constant distraction. Sorry. So it's a weird dichotomy there with me, but that's just me and what I'm going through with my stuff. But I just feel like I had to set new boundaries all the time. And sometimes you have to do that. You know, maybe you're in a new relationship and you're learning about somebody and you have to constantly set new boundaries with this person. And they will do that with you as well. So, oh, he just knocked the tripod. Oh, boo-boo. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do with you? But it also applies to work. You have every right to set boundaries with a boss or a superior or a manager. And you may feel like you don't have that right, but you do. Absolutely. If something doesn't feel right to you, have a conversation and let them know. And obviously you have to be careful about how you do this in a work situation, but you can absolutely do it with respect for yourself and the other person. You can definitely do it with coworkers. You got to do it with neighbors sometimes. You got to do it with friends. You have to do it with clients sometimes. If you have a business and you have clients that are just pulling on you and too needy and just are draining you and not really a good match for you to work with anymore, you need to set a boundary. So there are so many different areas that this applies to. And I just want to reiterate, you are allowed to set boundaries with every person in every relationship in every situation in your life. So give yourself permission and continually remind yourself that you are allowed to set boundaries. I don't care who it's with. Now, if you're in an abusive relationship, you got to get out. I know that's a hard one, but boundaries really aren't allowed in that kind of relationship because it could be dangerous, actually. So not talking about that. That's a whole other level that people are dealing with sometimes, and my heart goes out to you, and I hope that you are able to get out. But if you're in a relationship like that, go check out that Energy Vampire course with Dr. Christiane Northrup because it'll really help you. But just as far as everyday boundaries in your relationships, personally, professionally, you're allowed. Set the boundaries. Make sure you feel comfortable, that it feels good to you, and that it feels right, and that it allows you to be who you are and do what you want to do without anyone infringing on your freedom or your opinions, because we don't need that. That's just too exhausting. So anyway, I want to thank you for joining me. Because, you know, I set boundaries sometimes with these videos too. You know, I took a little time off after my mom died. There have been times over the last 5 years where I needed to step back and just kind of collect myself a little bit because I didn't feel like where I was, I could deliver the best messages to you, which I never want to do a message if I'm feeling crappy unless it's about feeling crappy. I'm just sharing that with you. But if I'm just not feeling it, I will say, I'm going to step away until I feel like I'm in a better place to deliver something better to you. So I've set boundaries with you guys too over the past few years. And you set boundaries with me too, like not interested in today's message, stop, click, delete. So we all set boundaries with each other, and that's okay. But if you're still here, I want to thank you for watching. I always appreciate you joining me so much. And if you do enjoy these videos, remember to subscribe. And if you would like them delivered to your inbox every morning, you can, every Friday morning, you can jump over to my website, tanamarshall.com, and join the mailing list. You'll get a special little note from me on Fridays with this message before anybody else. So thank you for joining me again. I really appreciate it. Look at your life and see where you might need to set some boundaries and just be okay with it and actually feel good about it. Realize how empowering it is to set those boundaries and take your power back and be like, nope, this is all I'm going to do, this is all I'm going to give, this is as close as you can get, that's it. This far, that's it. And it's okay. And even if you have to leave a situation, that's okay too. Please just keep telling yourself it's okay for you to set boundaries. It's kind of imperative for you to set boundaries for your well-being. So set your boundaries, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.